Are Kickstarter and watches a good combination? Today I'll be taking a look at these watches from Monforti. A few weeks back I made this video entitled Best Alternatives to Movement Watches, where I pointed out several alternatives to these watches that provided normally better quality for a similar or lower price. And one of the brands that I mentioned in that video was Monforti. And I based that recommendation off the specs that you get as well as the aesthetics for the money. Their standard line seemed to be quite similar in terms of looks, but seemed to be a better build quality. And I said in that video, I need to get a hold of one of these things really to test them out. And what do you know? I've got hold of some. It's time to give them a full review. I'll give you a little hint. I think these are pretty decent. And I also want to make a disclaimer here as well at the start. This isn't a sponsored or paid review. I just want to see if these are worth wearing. I'll show you the brand to start with, and then after, we'll dive into taking a look at the different parts of the watches. As the title suggests, this brand, Monforti Milano, first came about on Kickstarter. I believe their first campaign started about 18 months ago, so it's a young brand as you'd expect. And they've said that their ambition with the watch brand is to create high quality, stylish timepieces at a price that isn't over the odds, and I say that that's kind of the slogan for lots of these watch brands these days, many of which fail to deliver in that department. So we're going to see if these have delivered in that department. If by the end of this video you want to check out these watches for yourself, I'll have them all linked in the description below. And if I'm able to get any sort of discount code or anything like that for them, I'll also chuck that down there too. The things that these watches boast is that they are made in Italy. They use a Swiss movement rather than the stereotypical Japanese or Chinese movements. And the glass used, as far as I can find out, is sapphire crystal. They've got ranges of both quartz watches as well as automatics, with the quartz ones ranging from about £90 up to about 200, and then you're looking another third or so more for the automatic ones. So really I'd say that these are quite competitively priced. Let's begin by looking at the straps. Two of the watches that they sent me come with the leather strap. Normally, this is an area that loads of the popular fashion watch brands skimp on, by providing the cheapest straps possible to increase their profit margins. And those straps normally get dirty really quickly and often end up eroding apart and looking awful. Essentially, you're going to have to replace them at some stage. I'm glad to say that that isn't the case with Monforti. The watches do come with removable straps, which is really nice. And that's the same as lots of these other fashion watch brands, but these are far higher quality. This is super high quality Italian leather, and you can really tell. This feels nice and thick and nice and durable without looking too bulky. And as soon as you get this in the hand, you know it's going to be one that's actually going to last a long time. One of their straps they sent me was a really light tan colour, which I've been wearing quite a bit. And unlike the cheaper watch straps that I've tried before with many other fashion brands in and around this sort of price point, these are really good. Often I found the areas, especially that around the holes, getting really grubby, especially on a lighter coloured one like this. And that just hasn't happened so far with this one. I even lent in a pool of coffee with this one by accident, and then just scrubbed it up with some moisturising balm, and I was ready to go again. You can't even tell that that's happened, so that's really good. Overall, I'm really pleased with that part of these watches, and I imagine that these straps normally would cost quite a lot to buy by themselves, because they do feel like that luxury that they're advertising. Let's take a look at the one with the bracelet on too. You've got your standard silver bracelet with a little nice clasp release mechanism. It's not a full butterfly clasp, which is probably more optimal for a lot of people, but it's still better than the standard clasps you get at the same sort of price with some of the other fashion watch brands I've tried before. And in terms of quality, I think that the strap is a lot better than what you get even on some of the big name watches. There are plenty of Seikos out there, for instance, that come with straps at the same price as this watch, which are a lot worse. These are nice, solid stainless steel links, and overall it's a really comfortable fit on the wrist. There isn't loads of shaking from side to side. The only thing with this that I'm not quite so keen on is the type of silver used. Down the edges, they use like this nice looking brushed silver, whereas that used down the center and on the clasp itself is a lot more reflective. This has obviously been done for stylistic purposes, but for me, I feel like if it was brushed all over, it might look a bit more premium, because lots of the cheaper end watches have really nasty links made of the really shiny stuff. That's just my personal preference when it comes to the aesthetics of this one. If that doesn't really bother you, then you'll have no problems with this whatsoever. So that's the straps. Overall, pretty impressive. Let's have a look at what watch you're actually getting for our money then. The two that I've been sent with the leather straps have the same case essentially, just a different colour. You've got a nice slim profile. All the ones that I've received are quartz, so they're typically going to be thinner anyway. This just means it's going to be nice and easy to wear under something like a long sleeve shirt or under a suit jacket, whatever you wear. Might be good if you're a guy who's got, quite skinny wrists. Stainless steel, 580M water resistance, standard sort of specs in that regard. Both of these do have Swiss quartz movement though, which is optimal, as well as having a nice bit of slightly domed sapphire crystal on each of them. This is definitely one of my favorite parts of each of these watches, and from different angles, these look so much better than the standard Chinese watches you get out there. Looks really nice. It's going to protect the face of the watch even better than the standard mineral crystal. One thing that I have noticed is that with the ones that I've been sent, on the back of the case, the specifications have been printed backwards by accident. I'm not sure exactly why this is the case. I think maybe it's just a few teething problems they've got to iron out, as these are part of their new range, which I believe go live either the day I'm uploading this or around the date I'm uploading this. So they sort of sent me early prototypes, if you like. And then they've got this engraved, almost flower-like shape in the back. In this position here, I actually probably would have preferred their main logo to be engraved in the back. I definitely prefer the silver-coloured one out of these two compared to the black one. It seems to feel like a slightly higher quality, or at least it looks higher quality. The other type that I received with the bracelet, this one is a bit more chunky. This one is still a quartz movement, just a different shape. The crown on the side of this one is quite large in comparison with the other two. And once more, I think the whole of this case would look better if there was a bit more brushing on it. I think that would make it look higher quality than what we've got here. Once more though, you get the slightly domed crystal on the top. Overall, quality feels good. And now we move on to something that's really of the main importance when it comes to these fashion watches. How do these things look? This is what's going to draw you in to get these watches over something like your standard Citizens, Seikos, whatever. And this is a strange one because my opinions of these have sort of changed and moved somewhat as I've had them. This blue-faced one, for instance, this is probably my least favourite upon receiving it. But then as I've had the watch and I've been wearing it more frequently, I've started to really like this one. In fact, it's probably my favourite now. The nice little sunburst effect at the back of the dial, it just looks nice. And then once we take a look at the other two, you'll notice these watches, they don't really look like other watches that you get. Quite different once more, they've got these different patterns around the perimeter. Definitely adds a bit of texture to them. It doesn't leave them looking super minimal. I think these are going to be watches that you either really, really like or don't like much. I found the black face one to possibly be the most versatile out of the ones that I've got. And I also like the fact that this is symmetrical, that bit of OCD inside me. Whereas the silver watch, because it's not symmetrical, there's something inside me like, Argh! Overall, I think this is an okay looking watch, but out of the three I've received, it's probably my least favourite. Although if there were some minor changes on here, that probably would become my favourite. It's just how things go with watches. Overall though, I'm a brutally harsh critic when it comes to watches. As you will have known from seeing some of my other watch reviews before, when I don't think something's very good value for money, I don't hold back. Let's wrap it up then. Are these worth wearing? I'd say that these are a pretty good price for what you get. So well done, Monforti. I think you've done a pretty good job of these ones. If you're some guy out there who's obsessed with pure specifications only, you can obviously get automatics cheaper than the quartz ones from here. You're the type of guy that I'm surprised has even clicked on the video at all. But if you're after fashion watches, ones that look as good as possible to wear with multiple different things, and if you want to support smaller brands that are actually doing things in an ethical way, in my opinion, then this is a really good way to go. The specs are relatively decent. You can't get the automatics for the same sort of price as the quartz, obviously, but they've actually bothered to provide you with good straps. You've got sapphire crystal glass, which is nice, and a Swiss movement. I don't think there's much you can really complain about. And the slim ones in particular, I think if you're a guy with really skinny wrists, then these prove a much better alternative to some of the other thin fashion watch brands. So yeah, if you like these ones, I'd head to the link in the description. Like I said before, if there is a discount I can get, then it'll be there. And give one of these a try. I don't think you'll be disappointed. But anyway, I'd love to know your thoughts on these watches down in the comment section below. I want to know, do you think that these on paper or in person look like a better alternative to some of these other brands? If you enjoyed the video, hopefully you found it useful, make sure you press the like button. And if you want to see similar videos on what to wear, how to style your hair, stuff like that, make sure you press the subscribe icon to this side here. And I've also got 2 more fun videos for you to check out next, right down below. And I'll see you on the next one.